Welcome. It is no accident that you have found your way to the Release the Genie podcast. What would you do with 3 wishes? And what if you discovered that you are in fact that very genie that could grant them? Well, join us now as we discover who our next genie is as we listen in and learn the stories of triumph, inspiration, and passion with some very special guests. And now, without further delay, your host of the Release the Genie podcast, Mr. Paul Rogers.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from. I have a very, very special guest who I've kind of pursued on LinkedIn for a while, and she's been super busy, but she's got some time to sit down with us at the moment. The amazing Mama Liz Franklin, and a complete joy. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her, and I'm going to let her take over because she'll be able to dig into this. So Liz was former financial planner who now invests her time as an author and inspirational speaker for children, teens, and college students to ignite greatness, empower them with success and time principles. She's authored numerous books, including a free COVID ebook, and it's in for kids in 25 languages. I just got to share this with you, but Liz described herself just off air here as a 2-headed monster because she's managed to bring 2 fantastic books together, which we'll dig into, which is due for release real soon. So, Liz, I'm going to hand it over to you. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you, first of all, Paul, for having me. This is so exciting. We have bounced back and forth for a while, and it's just great to sit down with you and all the energy that I feel, positive vibes and things. It's awesome. Wow. I got on LinkedIn a year ago to find some more schools and homeschool groups to go take my little workshop on time and success to. And something just happened. Mama Liz happened. This explosion happened. I began to see all the potential of what I could be. I had this book, Taming the Time Monster and Time to Thrive, getting almost done, ready to release soon. And so I wanted to get into the college market because it's such a hard thing to make this transition from being in structured school where you're told what to do and how to do it to just running your own show. And so it's a perfect place for all these business principles to just get in place for these college students because 33% fail the first year. And that's astounding and terrible. And it won't happen under my watch. So I decided to take all this stuff and pour into the college students right now because it's a hard time, especially then COVID hits. And so they're online schooling instead of being in class. So it's even that much harder. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I am right now. And then the COVID book, that was the craziest thing. I connected to someone who was in Italy before it had even started in America. And I'm like, they were in lockdown. And I'm like, how can I keep this from happening in America? And so his advice was, to tell people to start social distancing and things early. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this to the little army, the little kids army, because I know kids will obey what you say. And adults are just like, I got to figure out if I want to do this or not. So they help the grownups do the right thing. So we came up with this superhero book, wrote it from the idea to releasing it was 5 days. That's writing it, illustrating it, 4 people involved in writing it, editing it, proofing it, everything, 5 days. And then all these people from all over the world starts volunteering to change it to their languages too. And so I had this massive international network of translators, and I was working 12 to 20 hours a day trying to get their translations ready to go out and all this stuff. But it was amazing. And we touched so many kids and it helped them so much. And so that's what I've been doing.
Is that all? I mean,
well, no, but that's the beginning.
I mean, to be honest, it's such a wonderful thing because everyone's kind of caught up in their own little world and their own little problems, but we tend to forget that there is a very impressionable generation who need the guidance. And it's up to people to like you to step in and say, this is what actually we need to do. So
right. And change the mindset, because it was like this hopelessness. And even parents, I had so many parents that said this book helped me so much. Because it changed them from being a victim to being a superhero, like the kids, and saying, I can do this thing. And then we went further steps from not only learning about how to handle COVID, but then the kindness book. And it's all these books are free, by the way. And the kindness book was how to, do something besides thinking about taking care of your own self and beginning to help people that were serving in the community. And then I have one for going back to the world and going back to school. So a whole series of books on how to handle this thing in a smart way and a proactive way, so you don't feel like a victim, but you feel in control. So yeah.
no, I mean, to be honest, you've hit the nail on the head there, because a trauma, and we're just talk of a second lockdown, it's that helplessness which really is the crippling element. And I know also this is not this is also, you're looking to extend into the young professionals as well and take it further and further.
Right. Yes, exactly. Because it's the COVID book had its own little niche, and children are I love empowering children, but my real heart is the older teenagers, the college students, the young professionals that are just beginning their journey, because I have all these years of wisdom poured into me, and I'm just like pouring it back into them so they can climb on my shoulders and go higher than I could ever go, and they can avoid the mistakes I made, and they can have success earlier and faster, and their new businesses won't fail in the first year or the fifth year, but will succeed and keep going and keep going. And so that's my heart, is to see all these young people thrive, and it covers all of them.
Yeah. Amazing. If you guys haven't worked out already, Liz is a motivational speaker as well.
Little bit.
I think we got that, because it's motivating stuff. I love it. So let's dig back into something here. What was your aha moment, that moment where you released your Genie?
Well, I was 28 years old, perfect health, worked out every day. I was 6 months pregnant, had a toddler, 18-month-old toddler, rolled over in the night, and I had this excruciating pain. Well, I'd had 2 miscarriages, so I thought that's what it was. Went to the hospital, but that wasn't what it was. They didn't know what it was. And I was, after 2 weeks of testing and not figuring out what to do, that an exploratory. And after the surgery, I was in like a semi-coma state for 2 weeks. My heart rate was over 200, knocked out completely on morphine. I was, that asked me if I could move my fingers and wiggle my toes and open my eyes, that state, of just like almost there, but not there. And then had this like near-death experience and lost the baby, came back out of that with this amazing wake-up call about time and what I had done with those 28 years up to that point, and the lack of real value. I was a top-notch financial planner. I'd been in business. I was like top in my company running a business. I was head of the Boy Scouts over the entire city, not a troop. I was the entire city organizer. And we took toys one Christmas to the entire project area. We had truckloads of toys that these kids gathered, good toys, and wrapped them and took out and took them, handing them out. I'd done all these good things, but somehow I had missed it and missed the real importance, and that it's not what you do, but why you do it. And also how valuable your time is. And also that, man, you're accountable for this time that you got here. It's not just a free thing. There's an accountability for these hours and minutes and days. And so that was my aha moment.
That is an amazing wake up call, and and actually tuning in to your passion and purpose, because we all know corporate America is a tough place, but coming out is a bit of awakening by itself, to be honest. So bravo. Well, look, I'm now really interested in finding out what has been or is one of your inspirational comments or mantras which gets Liz going now.
Well, what came out of that was the decision I was going to live every day like it was my last. Absolutely every day. It's 110% of me in everything I do. And, people feel that. They don't understand it. They think I'm a little weird, but
Weird
I
is good.
live like that.
Weird.
I live like that every minute with everyone in my life, everything I do. It's like, if today were my last day, what would I do? How would I treat this person? How would I interact? What would I be leaving behind that's not been done? And all those things interact to this live every day like it's your last.
To be honest, again, I just need to know where I can sign up. That's it's beautiful. I mean, it really is. And I can really feel the energy just bursting through the screen. So I know my viewers and listeners are going to have the same experience. So thank you, Genie. You're doing a fantastic job. So now we come to the point of, setbacks. Setbacks are always sort of, it's adversity. So share with us, if you can, a setback or an adversity which you had to overcome.
Well, I have this tendency, or used to have this tendency, that when I saw it, I went running after it. No concept of timing, and just because you see it doesn't mean it's there yet. And so I left my financial planning practice to do this.
Wow.
I was top in the top 10% of the nation, and in successful practice. I just okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing now. Just left it. Not a good thing. Not a smart thing.
I mean, gutsy move. I mean, that's listening to your heart and instead of the head. So yeah,
I've learned this thing about timing.
You'd make a great comedian on that basis, because timing is everything. So
it is.
Wow. So if anyone else is thinking like this, you need to speak to this lady, because she's been there and she's done it. So
Right.
Buckle up and enjoy the ride. So I've sort of talked a little bit about sort of a book which is coming out very soon. So is there anything else? What's sort of cooking in your kitchen at the moment?
Oh, lots of things.
Why does that not surprise me?
First of all, I'm trying to figure out this whole Mama Liz thing and what to do with it, because I have people from all over the world wanting me to come speak and do all these things. And I don't even know who this thing is yet. And so that's part of it. Then I have the Time to Thrive, Tame the Time Monster coming out for the college edition, which is quickly going to become a young professional edition, which is quickly going to become a high school, middle school edition. So that's a little bit of work there. My COVID books, things are changing. Things are changing so fast, and you have to go with this thing. It's like a river that you've got to keep up with in order to help kids and people deal with the situation. And so, the third book was about going back out in the world, but it was more, kids were left at home, their parents were going to work, dealing with this issue of loneliness and stuff, and being left alone, now also being separated from the parents. Well, now, in my community, they're actually in school, live school. And so they've had to learn a whole new set of rules of how to interact into the community and do it the right way. And so I'm working on that book. And then I've got a Time Monster, the Time Doctor book, which is a series for little kids, a picture book, Time Success book series. And I'm working on that to help ones that are schooling at home on how to manage being self-reliant and how to do school the right way and how to handle things from that aspect. So a few little projects here and there.
You're also a master of understatement as well. A few little projects. This, bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is all done before breakfast, so you wait for the rest of the day.
And then, you know, Mama Liz on LinkedIn, you know, it's like it became a thing. I didn't go on there expecting that, but I wrote a little post and people began to be drawn to it, and it was encouragement. It's like pouring out that encouragement is like water on a dry and thirsty world right now. And during the COVID book, when I was working so hard, I was doing posts every day, and people began to message me privately and say, Liz, I really need that right now. And so, you know, that's a whole element there that I keep going. It's easy. It's like I get up and think for a little bit, post comes in 5 minutes, I write it and it's gone. And, you know, and it's not a big thing, but it's an important part. And so that's also an aspect that, especially right now, needs to keep flowing and keep going, because it really does make a difference. And that's honestly my core value, is making a difference.
And to be honest,
I don't care about success. I don't care about money. I don't care about any of those things. I want to make a difference. I want to touch lives.
To be honest, you know, and we know it's not a slick marketing line from you here. It's actually 100% core belief, which is, you know, which is wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it's such a refreshing change where there's doom and gloom everywhere you look, then to see such a brilliant light like a beacon. So yes, Mama Liz is a brand, and I know from LinkedIn I've come across it lots. So I'm going to say a big thank you for everyone on LinkedIn, and yeah, I mean, fantastic. Well,
it really does. I just have to get a comment. That's all. When I get a comment, and I do almost every day, this is exactly what I needed to hear, or stories about what they're going through behind the scenes, and just, oh man, I just like tears, and just my heart just goes out to them, and it's just so it's all that matters. It really is all that matters.
Yeah, to be honest, absolutely, it's value. And I saw a quote the other day, which was man's rent to the universe is value and giving value. So that's what our currency actually is. Forget the money. That's a man-made concept. So wonderful. Oh, we could talk for a long time about this. So let's I've come to the part of the show which I really, really enjoy, which is I get to ask my fabulous Genie today, who I also notice is wearing a blue jacket. Even if it's subliminal.
Mama Liz Blue.
Mama Liz Blue. She's there in her non-corporate suit. But here we go for 3 wishes. Are you ready, Genie?
I am ready.
Okay, here we go. My first wish. What was the best advice you have ever received?
Best advice I ever received was actually from Alan Costa, who is our general manager at Pruka Securities, where I was a financial planner. And one day he asked me to speak about time, and because I could time priorities, because I could manage it well. And I'd never spoken to anything like that. I've never done this, you know. So I agreed. Afterwards, he said, Liz, you're only touching the tip of the iceberg. And he renamed me Lizzie Ziegler from then on. And so my best advice to you would be, you're only touching the tip of the iceberg. You can't even see how big you are. There's no way to even conceive how big you are on the inside.
That is absolutely and full of hope. And you know, we've talked setbacks, but you know, that's such a beautiful message. So wow, that's just my first wish. I've got 2 more yet, so that was brilliant. Okay, so here we go. The second wish. What advice would you give your younger self?
The advice I would give my younger self would be not to let other people's dreams take over yours. I did that. And that's why this long delay, partly because I actually remarried and began to, I did a lot of wonderful things, but I fulfilled his dreams for his life while I laid mine down or put it in the background. I didn't have time for it and spent all my time creating and helping and building someone else's dream for their life. And so be careful, especially if you're a giver, to not give so much of yourself that you don't save a place for who you are.
So important to create a space for you to occupy, because and that comes down to boundaries and all sorts, but it's difficult, and it's a moving thing. People think I've set my boundary, but it's not like that. It always moves. So wonderful advice, and anyone who's in that situation, really pay attention to that, because that's great advice. So two for two. I think it's 2-0 to you at the moment. So let's move on to my third wish, which is, can you give us one habit that attributes to your success?
I think the habit that allows success in my life is giving wholeheartedly. People hold back.
Yes.
They don't give all of themselves. They're afraid. Do I get hurt? Yes. Do I get taken advantage of? Yes. But it's worth it in the end. Give wholeheartedly to everything you do. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let opinions stop you. Don't let other people stop you. Don't let just that I'm only going to give a part of me because of this or that or the other. Give all of yourself. And so wholeheartedness, I think, will be that key.
It's like unconditional love, where a mother and her baby, that's unconditional, and you would do anything for that. As we get older and we sort of get hurt, we tend to actually retract into our shell, but we're not our shell. We're actually that person. So really beautiful, Liz. And wow, 3 wishes there. And I think that's really going to make a difference to people. So if you know anyone who's actually going through any of those issues, please share it with them, because if we can together help one person, that makes it all worthwhile. Wonderful. Well, look, finally, I'm going to ask you, what book would you recommend to the listeners?
Well, my favorite motivational speaker and author is Zig Ziglar. I actually sat under him several times back when I was a financial planner. And I remember the first time, and he began, I was doing well in the corporate world, and I had, but he made something profoundly important to me when he said, help other people get what they want out of life, and you'll get what you want out of life. Suddenly it changed everything. So the book that I would recommend is See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. It's full of wonderful stories, but it's full of this wisdom and this heart of helping other people succeed and not worry about yourself. It'll take care of itself. And so that would be my book.
That's wonderful. And I can well see why you were named Liz Ziglar earlier on. That's wonderful. So, where can people find you? I know that you're super busy, but where can we reach out to you?
Well, my website is lizfranklin.com, and you can email me at liz@lizfranklin.com. So
that's an easy one. I got that. And you're on LinkedIn to a certain extent under the brand
just
of
look for
Mama
hashtag
Liz.
Mama Liz. Yes.
I personally think that's a great name. So, well, look, Liz, it's been an absolute pleasure, and it has been worth the wait to get round to speak to you. And so, thank you for giving such wonderful value. The takeaways being, to give with all yourself, all your heart, and don't let anyone else stop you building your dream. So wonderful. And look out for her new books. And yeah, share the love. So thank you very much once again, Liz.
Thank you for having me, Paul. It's been a joy.
It's a pleasure. And thank you everyone for watching and tuning in. So make sure today you go and release your genie. See you next time.
Well, that's a wrap. You have been listening to yet another episode of the Release the Genie podcast with host Paul Rogers. Be sure to follow Paul on the LinkedIn platform and learn more of Paul's resources at www.takeactionacademy.ca. And until next time, as always, be mindful and be sure to release your genie. Thanks for listening.